Welcome to this week's edition of the MMA Analysis podcast. I am your host this week, Lance, as Jay is moving to a hot spot in a couple ways.
The hottest.
Very hot there. Plus, he's going to get COVID. So
and stabbed by fucking bath salts Florida man.
But first, he's going to get drowned in a hurricane. So maybe two.
He almost timed it perfectly where he would have been moving during the hurricane, like driving toward. He's driving not only towards the hurricane, but towards the epicenter of the pandemic. Just so excited about my move.
Yeah.
So yeah, Godspeed, Jay. That's a
Storm Chaser Primetown.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. And Wes is I don't remember what he said. I think he has like tons of shit going on work wise. So
I'm pretty sure the storm
is
may have been he's fucking his sod up, so I'm sure he has to clean that shit up, you know.
Got to protect the sod.
That's right.
How's it going, new Shaun?
It's all right. I mean, it is what it is. We've kind of hit a lull, I feel, in the UFC. We got some heaters coming up, but I mean, I guess it's better than no sports, and that's kind of what's happening right now.
Yeah, it could be worse, I guess. I think I read that there's no weekends off until like Christmas.
December 12th, December something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No days off, baby.
That's a lot.
I mean, even bad cards. I'd rather a bad card than no card. And maybe I've been watching MMA for a long time, but like I have it on my TV. If it's a really shitty card, maybe I'll put it on the other TV, watch a movie. But like, I don't mind if there's shitty card. I'd rather a shitty card than no card, I guess. But we do need some bangers to come.
You're in luck then.
Yeah, I feel like if there wasn't a pandemic and I wasn't stuck at home anyways, I definitely would have skipped some of these cards. But
I'm stuck at home anyway.
Like,
what would I be doing?
You made having kids. So.
Yeah, what would I be doing on a Saturday night at 9 or 10 o'clock anyway? I mean, so doesn't really affect me. Brad, how are you doing? I know you're in the move, just not going to Florida.
Yeah, I'm not. I make good decisions, so you know, I'm
safe decisions.
Took possession of a house on last Friday, and just been doing work on it all week, and everything gets moved in tomorrow. So next week you won't see me with this lovely background here. I'll be in a real setup with.
Gonna miss
maybe
it.
A real microphone.
Look,
I know it's sexy, right?
It's pretty nice. We have horrible storms going on right here, so just in case I go away, it's because my power went out.
Seems to happen a lot to you, Lance.
I got my Team Ramrod shirt on from Super Troopers, right?
Yeah, car ramrod.
I mean, if all cops were these cops, the world might be a little bit better of a place, you know.
So they got a new TV show coming out, eh? I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but
there's a Super Troopers television show.
No, but the guys that did Super Troopers.
Oh, the Broken Lizard or whatever.
Yeah, Broken Lizard guys. I don't know if it's all of them. It's definitely some of them, and it's on a weird channel in the States. I forget which one it is. Hopefully
Fox?
It's like uncensored.
I never watched Super Troopers 2. I assume it was terrible.
It was okay. I mean, it was exactly what you'd expect. Yeah, like it wasn't. It was literally exactly. I was like, I laughed a few times. It was stupid. When Super Troopers came out, I was younger and dumber and everything else.
Yeah.
And like
it fit with the times better.
Yes, and there's a lot of movies like that. Like I was younger and high school and stuff like that. When I feel like all the dumb comedies, like when I was in high school and college and even middle school a little bit, that's when like all the dumb comedies came out. Which I wonder if they would have been as good when I was older.
They would
probably not.
No. Like if Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison came out now as opposed to when I was like 12, not the same.
Like if I watched the Tom Green show right now,
no chance.
Would I like it as much as I did back then?
I'm sure there's going to be some bits that still carry weight, but there's a lot of stupidity.
Is Tom Green the pound for pound #1 Canadian?
Top
10. Top 10. right? You got to be top 10.
I mean, he was in an early 90s rap group as well, so he's got that going for him.
Yeah, he had the Bum Bum song, and then he had the song about feeling your balls for cancer, and then he had the Monica Lewinsky thing. Yeah. A lot of good stuff. My favorite
he had some heaters in the 90s.
Oh, he did. My favorite Tom Green bit was the Scuba Man. Do you remember that skit he had? Where he went to a mall and he jumped in one of those water fountains, and he said he is Scuba Man and he steals from the poor and gives to the rich, and said he was taking all these coins and going to the bank.
Yeah.
And we're just going to give him all the money. It was like one of the best. Like Tom Green was like, when you think of all the shows that came out, like that kind of like slapstick, like reality comedy thing, like
Jackass sort of stuff.
Yeah, like around the same, like even like Chappelle Show and stuff like that. Like Tom Green did, skits and funny things and stuff like that. Like he was one of like the early ones with that. So I don't know how we started talking about Tom Green so much, but the Monica Lewinsky thing too. When he fake married Monica Lewinsky, that was good. Yeah.
Monica Lewinsky is, she's got a sense of humor about her entire life, which I appreciate.
She got the job done.
Yeah, she did.
You kind of have to at this point.
I think it was either Rock or Chappelle, and he had this skit a long time ago. It might have been bigger. No, it wasn't Bigger Black. It might have been on Rock's one from like 15 years ago, and they were talking about he was talking about Monica Lewinsky. He's like, it could have been a lot worse. It could have been Reggie from Safeway, not the president of the United States. Like, that's not that bad.
I mean, now it
would be worse. Reggie at Safeway would be pretty good.
That's a step up.
Yeah. So enough about random things.
Let's talk about random fights.
Yeah, so we can go to random fights as last week. I don't even know the names of fight cards anymore. It's gotten so confusing because every card is like on ESPN and ESPN Plus, and I don't understand. It feels like this would, like last week was like ESPN like 47. Apparently it was 15.
It was only the 15th, yeah.
But like I don't think they must have. I feel like I've watched 17 events on ESPN this year, like from the pandemic. Like I feel like I have, but maybe not.
I mean, for us, it's all been on TSN for the last decade. So it doesn't make a difference. Yeah.
See, mine's like ESPN, or I have to like go to my app for ESPN Plus. So a bit different. But yeah, we had a card. We did have some fights. There were some okay fights. I enjoyed some things on this card. I ended up, starting off way down and then came back and made a bit of money. So that's always solid. But I guess we'll jump right into a pretty big upset. It was ended up being a catchweight fight, but it was Trevin Jones defeating Timur Valiev by TKO, and a fight that Valiev had a 10-8 first and then just died. He just insta died, which that's the problem when you bet on, minus 500 guys or whatever it is. And they're not finishers. You always have that risk. You, Shaun?
Yeah, I mean, it was wild. Like, I mean, that fight was close to being stopped, I think, in the first. I mean, the ref gave the guy quite a lot of leash. I think Valiev didn't get as much leash, but it was kind of a different. He was out, and it was just a different way. Like one was a beatdown, and one was just like a flash and smash. So, it's kind of shitty. Lose to some random dude. He was pretty hyped up. I know he a bunch of his fights we bet on, and then they ended up getting canceled, and then they throw him in as a huge favorite, and fucking gets knocked out in his UFC debut. Not a great start.
Brett, I was actually okay with the lack of stoppage and the stoppage. I thought they were much different. I thought Valiev was out. He had that flash knockout. He was his head was bouncing a little bit. What were your thoughts on the stoppage?
I'll take your word for it because I haven't seen it.
Fair. Oh, we're always, together in these.
Exactly.
Valiev, not great.
No,
we talk about this all the time.
Like you said, he's not a finisher, so it looks like he went for a finish early and sort of
gassed out,
blew himself out, and not great.
Yep, and that's the thing. Like when you're fighting basically regional guys at the big show, you gotta finish your fights. Not even just because you might lose, but because no one gives a shit if you lay on somebody. And I feel like he actually went out there and tried to get a finish and looked good. He caught him with some stuff. I mean, that fight looked 99% done, but he would, Jones was never like out of it. He was never like out. He never like fell down his face on the mat. Like, so, oh well.
Next fight, Valiev by decision. It's a lock.
Yeah. Next, we go to the welterweight division. It was Matthew Simonsberger versus Carlton Minus. I barely paid attention, but yeah.
Didn't watch it. It happened.
Brad, didn't you bet on the guy that lost?
I think he said if you do, you should bet minus, but I don't think he did.
I remember Brad saying something about Carlton. And I was like, well, I don't know who these guys are. I remember Brad saying Carlton. I guess I'll pick him in Toutmaster.
Yep. All I know is that there was like a 10-8, and then one judge scored 1 round for the other guy, and just like normal. Judges are all over the fucking place. So
yeah, we had a 30-26 and a 29-28.
Yeah. Don't care about this fight.
Yep. I got this next one wrong.
You got ninja'd.
I did.
Lance, we should have compromised, like I said.
I know. I was gonna bet the under. And then the under 1.5 moved to like minus 150, and I was like, fuck it, I'll take Villanueva. And if the cut doesn't stop, I don't know how that fight goes. Honestly, right through a bunch of stuff early. Who knows? That kid still sucks ass. And people are actually tweeting. This is just MMA Twitter in general, right? This guy's a good prospect, and what power, and this. He won by a cut, and like Villanueva got hit with everything in that first 2 minutes, and like he was pushing forward and pushing him against. It almost seemed like he was doing okay and started to push him against the fence, like, and he's not good at all. Like I didn't bet Villanueva because I thought he was good. Wright still sucks, and they're gonna have to find some kind of piece of garbage if Wright's gonna be laying some juice again. Shaun?
CM Punk.
Ooh.
Luckily, there's a lot of garbage on the UFC roster at this point. So they could find one, but yeah, I think you're gonna get some opportunities to cash in on that Fate plant because he is not good. And I don't know if those guys are being serious, pumping this guy up.
Yeah,
I also saw a tweet that seemed like they were kind of fucking pumping him up as a joke. Yeah, I don't know.
So there's one of those articles where it's like you give grades and ratings to people like after the cards, and one of them I saw was like ESPN or one of those, and I clicked into it because I'm an idiot and I guess I hate myself.
You hate yourself, yep.
And they had grades for newcomers on there, and there's a bunch of newcomers in this card, and the highest one was Jordan Wright, and he got like an A as their grade. He was fighting a literal, almost literal, someone who lives in a literal trash can. He lives in a trash can. Brad, you big Beverly, you high on the ninja?
Oh, so high. This was the one bet that I actually won on this card was the under 1.5 in this fight. So thanks to him for that. But he's not good.
I was kicking myself.
He's gonna lose real soon. Yeah.
I'm not a guy that, I see a lot of gamblers when they lose. I always go, well, next time it's just worth it because next time he'll be an inflated favorite. Like, I don't think like that. I'm like, fuck, I lost my bet. What an idiot. But in this case, I think people bought into that hype on this one. And, people he's 11-0 now. I'm like, well, he got knocked dead on Contender Series, and then this dude I was quite weed. Yeah. So I guess we won't count that one, but yeah, I don't think
the record it gets people, man. It gets people, so it'll help.
Sure dog capping. Like if you guys watch the Contender Series, Yanni literally just goes on Sure Dog and clicks on people's records, and then this guy's against components record 4-28, and he fights at this gym. And
that's all you need to do to be Johnny. You just need Sure Dog and a calculator, and then you're fucking banging bets, baby, every Tuesday.
Oh, those teeth! They're gigantic.
What did he bet this time?
Did he give any mushes out this week? I didn't watch this week. Last week he was just mushing.
This week.
I watched the fight. I didn't bet on any fights, which was way more enjoyable, not sweating regional MMA type stuff. But I went upstairs during the Greek, so I didn't see who he bet on. I assume they lost, and I think Chalk won out.
Oh yeah, he was due. It was due for a chalky day.
Well, there's a lot of.
I think Chalk won all of them.
Yeah, there was a lot of pretty close fights. So
It was a fun card.
Oh, that's not his style. We need some minus 300 and minus 350 favorites for him to give out the mush.
We need to wait and see who he's going to mush on this one.
I know.
There was actually some good fighters on Contender Series the other day. Like there was actually like not like Dana White, Phil Roster. Like there were some like decent guys. Like
guys that could actually win a fight in the UFC, maybe.
Even the guy who didn't get the contract, I felt would win a lot of fights in the UFC.
The Silva guy.
Romero is Canadian pound for pound number 16.
Oh, that guy. I thought you were talking about the flyweight that lost because he was even pretty good.
Yeah, and the one guy the Magma Brazilian kid.
Oh, the replay of him, like there was that one angle of the replay where he snatched up the guillotine as the guy was going in for the shot, and his neck was already like sideways. Yeah. It was just such a perfect replay. I loved it.
Yeah, there were some good fights. I think the guy who won the main event's not great, but I'm glad he got a contract and finished. That was just a pretty cool story. He had this is his third time in Contender Series. Somehow got a third attempt, and threw like it was literally a 22-piece combo.
Yeah,
like it was just throwing and it wasn't like little jabs. Like he was landing bombs on this dude. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was pretty cool. But we digress. Let's move to the women's strawweight division. I did not watch this fight. Amanda Lemos defeated Mizuki Inoue. Isn't that the chick that everyone always bets because she's like old school, but she never wins? Is that her?
Yes.
Or is that a different one?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
that's one of those.
I added a bet her.
There's a few of the Asian ones. Yeah.
I had a bet on her like just before the fight and watched it on my phone, and yeah, she got smoked.
It looks like she almost thought about winning one round though.
Yeah, I think she won the third round, if I remember correctly.
Not on the scorecards, but
not on the scorecards. It was 30-27 straight.
She thought about it.
It was
very obvious who won that fight. So I stopped.
I did not pay attention to this.
I mean,
yeah. So at this point, we'll move on to the main card. I have nothing to. I don't know, Shaun, if you have anything to add on the women's strawweight division. I assume no. Okay. All right. Moving up, welterweight division. This was
listening to the audio. He was shaking his head.
I know.
Moving on, welterweight division. This was an awesome couple minutes. Daniel Rodriguez defeated Dwight Grant by knockout. Daniel Rodriguez was basically unconscious in the first round. He got dropped, and I mean at least 20-30 shots on the ground from Dwight Grant. Nothing huge, but it looked like Rodriguez was pretty out. And then all of a sudden he just stood up, and then Grant looked like he had just ran like an Iron Man. Like Grant
should have just tapped at that point.
Like it might have been the soonest I've ever known a fight was over reversed, where it was like this dude is dead 2 minutes into the fight in the first round. He has no chance. And then he stands up, and 1 second later, I was like, Rodriguez has won the fight. Like, after just being dropped and murdered, Grant literally got up, was like, like barely could stand. It was hilarious. And Rodriguez teed off on him. I mean, Rodriguez has some good hands. He got caught in this early, but, I mean, tough kid, came back, won the fight. Shaun?
That was a lot of fight for 2 minutes and 24 seconds. Holy shit.
That was a lot of fight.
From a 10-8 almost finish to the other way getting knocked out. Like, yeah.
Grant gassed out in 1 minute, basically.
Fuck. Like, I know he was going for the finish, but that's still pretty bad. I don't know. You need live betting at that point in between rounds because the number would have been insane. But
that was insane.
Yeah, that was a fun fight that, of course, came together on 1 day's notice because the Rona or whatever the fuck else is going on. We had two fight cancellations.
Yeah, they fought each other. Yeah.
So that good stuff. Last minute, just a wild ass fight. I guess that's what we're getting in 2020.
Yep. I think, Brad, I think Rodriguez could beat some actual pretty decent guys with his hand and recoverability. He's no contender, but I think this guy could knock some people out. Like he looks pretty decent.
Depends on matchup, but yeah.
I mean, he's the guy that could pull off an upset, I guess is what I'm saying in a top 15 matchup.
Yeah, he's clearly tough enough that he can hang in there and take some stuff, and he's got the offense that he can put guys away. His only loss is to somebody decent as well, right?
I don't remember who he lost to.
He lost on a split decision to the dude that Teeth mushed on Contender Series last week.
Victor
Reyna.
Reyna 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like even that's not a bad loss for early in your career, and yeah, he looks all right. He's put on fun fights so far. Like
He is.
the Means fight, he destroyed Means. His last fight, there was like 800 strikes landed in a 3-round fight, and then there was this. So yeah, I'm here to watch more Daniel Rodriguez.
Yep. Not too shabby. All right, moving up, women's flyweight division. Shayna Dobson defeated Agapova. Dobson was about plus 900 here, and Towdy McTowderson, I believe, had like 9 units of sleeveless juice on this fight. Hilarious. I mean, that's a 3-5 fighter. That chick, if you watch, I saw a video of like it was like her during the pre-fight, like trying to act all gangster. She's like doing all
dancing.
this. And then like all this and like acting all tough and everything, like she's some kind of fucking like Kazakhstan gangster. And then, dude, that was like we talked about Dwight Grant of like he threw like 1,000 punches and then he was tired after that.
Did stuff.
Yeah, he did stuff. This girl was in like a little bit of a back and forth, mostly dominated, but there was some grappling and some things. And like she came out in that second round like
she landed 21 strikes and gassed.
Yeah, Grant landed 21 strikes in like 15 seconds, and no excuse. But holy shit, was this hilarious! It was so funny, and the fact that touts were playing minus 1,400, 22-year-old women's strawweight.
Settle down. We got to get the facts straight. They bet Agapova inside the distance at minus 370.
That's worse.
That's
betting
worse
on a fucking strawweight minus 375. Yep. That's the fucking peak. Give me your. And then didn't he come out with like a coupon code?
50% off, bro. I'm down 30 plus units in the last fucking 13 or
I know that the caller Nar he ended up laying like minus 800 on Agapova straight because he had another bet that got canceled.
Who is that?
Kelton.
Oh, how many Kelton?
KU.
Well, it was he lost 4 KUs, I believe.
4 Kelton units?
Yeah,
wow.
4 Kelton units on minus 800.
That's great. Oh. And was Bro Hugs on her as well, or just
no
Pedro?
No, he stayed away from the minus fucking 1,200 favorite. This is the only bet I won on Saturday. This fight starts round 2, and I was still fucking very sketched out, and it's crazy because the plus 1,000 or whatever I ended up winning. So it's crazy that I was like scared about my bet. Like fuck, man.
Yep.
Oh, that was ridiculous. That's just hilarious.
The next time,
Shayna Dobson is terrible too.
Yeah, the next time there's a women's favorite that's more than minus 500 that isn't like Valentina or Amanda Nunes because she's going to kill the Australian Megan. Yeah, I am absolutely playing it. The other side, the dog.
It's
not the giant.
I can't. How can you see that bet, man? What
That's
the fuck?
embarrassing.
You're just grasping at straws. I know you're fucking a terrible bettor, but holy shit, man! Pick your spots.
Bad.
I know you like eating that chalk, but come on.
I saw, and then this week, I think it was this week, I saw Bro Hugs tweet like, 2 best fight pick sponsored fighters fighting this week. Got to get that W. I was like, God, these guys are so great. It's like, it's never ending comedy between all these MMA touts. It's never ending. Like,
do we know who those fighters are? Because that might be a good spot. For
also, how much is the sponsorship? What does Bro Hugs pay these guys to be able to do this? I don't know. So yeah, fun times in the MMA tout world. It's just never ending. Awesome. It's tremendous. Yeah, let's move on here to the lightweight division. Joe Solecki defeating Austin Hubbard by submission round 1. Brad, I tried to get you to make this Munich.
We were both we didn't want to meet in the middle on anything.
It's fine. So
it happens.
Well, and then I suggested doesn't go, and you laughed at me. You literally laughed at me. That was rude.
Yeah.
What was doesn't go? Was it a decent number?
Plus 215.
So wait, you can't play
played
under. You can't play unders for the Munich, but we can play it doesn't go.
I don't play
What's up, Lance?
the under was minus 140. We don't do big juice on Munich. That doesn't go, and the Selecki fight was plus 210. And I played it late, and it helped a lot. Man, what a calm serial killer finish by Joe Selecki. That was like eerie. How like he had his back, and it was literally like I don't know. It was like he was like thinking of a poem in his head. And he was like how calm. Like usually a guy gets in the back, and they're trying to like rip the head, and it was so calm. And I kept looking at his face, and it was just like he was reading a book.
Chilling.
This I know Hubbard's not great. Don't get me wrong. Selecki's got some dangerous jiu-jitsu, and I actually thought his hands looked pretty good in the first 2 minutes of that. He was winning the striking battle. So yeah, I think Selecki's an interesting guy, and see where he goes. But yeah, it doesn't go plus like 215. Not bad. You, Shaun?
Honestly, never mind.
Go ahead.
Yeah, a guy that managed to not get subbed by Davi Ramos and not get subbed by a bunch of the dudes that he's faced. I did not think that Selecki was going to come out there and just put it on him. And I think if you listen to my breakdown last week, the one thing I guaranteed was that Hubbard was going to get taken down in the first round. And somehow he got he got submitted in the first round.
Uh-oh.
But there was never a takedown.
Zero takedown.
Right. I even managed to get that wrong.
Backpacked him.
That's right.
Yeah, didn't see it going that way. I was worried about Hubbard's takedown defense. It didn't matter, I guess, this time.
Selecki's not bad. He's an interesting matchup. He's not too bad. All right, let's now move up to the light heavyweight division. Talk about being wrong. Good God. Mike Rodriguez defeated Marcin Prachnio.
Yep.
I've seen guys come out flat, and then I saw that. That was like that dude didn't know there was a fight happening. Like he just walked in and was just like, oh, like there was nothing there. Like he never attacked. The first big shot he ate, he just kind of like fell over and crumpled backwards. Like that was a miserable showing, and a guy that is no longer in the UFC. And to make Mike Rodriguez look like a killer like that, impressive. You, Shaun?
He got finished in the first round 3 straight times. Sam Alvey in 2018, which was still a pretty terrible Sam Alvey. Ankalaev, who doesn't finish that many guys in the first round, and then Mike Rodriguez. I wasted some money on Prachnio on some stupid big number props, and that was the easiest money loss I've seen in a while. Rodriguez seems like he's improving a bit. It's just hard to know with this guy. I mean, it was 2-year layoff, and he's now been finished 3 times in the first round. Maybe he's completely done. I would think so.
Yeah, that guy's not good. Brad, is he going to win a Bellator belt after he gets cut? He's top 5 in Bellator.
Maybe like a KSW belt or something like that.
That seems more likely.
Yeah, sometimes, when you're losing, being picky and trying to get cute with stuff pays off for you. So I ended up only losing like half a unit on him in round 1. So that worked out about as well as completely shitting the bed on a fight can work out for you. So, hey.
Yeah.
That's all I got there.
Yep. I ended up just because of like I lost a bunch of bets, but I won 2 big dogs, including the next one in the main event as top 5 bantamweight contender Frankie Edgar defeated no longer top 5 Pedro Munhoz by split decision here. So a lot to talk about here. Wes isn't on, so this will make it a little bit easier. I did not think this was a bad decision. I thought this fight could go either way. I thought the rounds were ridiculously close. I thought there was a couple clear rounds, and I thought there was a lot of coin flip rounds. And I think we're taking a little bit away from Frankie Edgar here because of the decision. It was a close fight. No matter how you look at it, it was a decently close fight. Frankie Edgar did not look washed. We've seen a lot of these former champs at late 30s. Chris Weidman, even though coming off a win, and all these different guys who look washed. That was like Frankie Edgar to me. That was like a Frankie Edgar fight, and that was Frankie Edgar's first fight at bantamweight. First time making that cut, and he went toe to toe without wrestling, on the feet the whole time, with a top 5 very, very dangerous striker. I thought Frankie looked real good. I'm not saying he's going to be a champion or anything like that, but I bet on Frankie because I'm a homer, and and I always bet on my wrestlers when they're over 38 years old. But with that said, and I jokingly broke down the Frankie fight last week, but man, Frankie looked pretty fucking good, and that's a close fight. That's not a robbery fight. Those rounds were close. Munhoz did not, it's not like he knocked Frankie down 8 times. It was a close fight. Shaun, I know you laid the juice on a minus 250 versus Frankie Edgar.
I got a good number, like it mattered. Minus 225. I got mushed by the shitty touts, so I guess I should have known better.
What shitty touts?
I think it was a bad decision. I know you at the time we were going at it fight night. You told me to rewatch it. I did rewatch it.
Close fight.
A couple of the early rounds were judged incorrectly by the judges. You'll even admit that. And if they do judge them correctly, Munhoz wins. They also the bad one is the third round. I don't know how a judge gave the third round to Frankie Edgar. That's a bad one.
But let's leave the judges and what
terrible.
they scored round by round. If you didn't know that fight was judged and you watched those 5 rounds, it is extremely possible for you to score the 2nd, 4th, and 5th for Frankie Edgar.
The 4th is
Very
not
possible.
a fucking chance in hell. I'm not going to allow you to get away with the 4th. The 4th is not a chance in hell. And you told me to rewatch the fight. I guarantee you did not rewatch those 3 rounds that you told me to do.
I barely watched the fight once. You know me.
That doesn't surprise me. Pedro Munhoz outlanded Frankie Edgar by over 10 strikes in all of the last 3 rounds.
Don't get stats into it.
We punch each other in the face more.
Trying to justify it with stats, and honestly, MMA stats are complete bullshit. And you know that.
But if you watch
70 of Pedro's strikes were leg kicks.
They weren't.
I think it was 72 or something.
Okay. So he still outlanded him with head strikes in all those rounds except the 5th. And he only lost by 2. So there were leg kicks in those rounds. It's just he still outlanded Frankie, and he was throwing the harder strikes. And I agree the strikes, the way that they're counted in most fights. I think in this fight they are legit. Both guys were throwing. I thought a lot of what Frankie was throwing was a lot lighter. A lot of his touching, he would land three punch combos. 2 of those strikes were pretty fucking soft. Munhoz was landing the harder strikes. He injured Frankie with the leg kicks. I gave him, honestly, it's not surprising. I bet on him. I gave him 1, 3, and 4, and 5 was a coin flip. So it's in my opinion, it's a bad decision. If you base it on damage, which is what it's supposed to be, you will agree that Pedro Munhoz was throwing the harder punches, and he outlanded him, and then he had leg kicks, which fucking hurt Frankie. So I think that's a bad decision.
All right, so if we go to your head strikes thing, so the first round was the one that was clearly Munhoz, right?
I don't know if it was clearly. I rewatched that one again. I'll give that a close round. I thought Munhoz, but that was a close round. It was closer than I expected.
So the first round they were basically even in significant strikes. It was 30-29. Frankie landed 8 more head strikes, and 11 of Munhoz's strike were leg kicks. So
Those
Frankie
were some
landed
nasty leg kicks, though.
Cool. Only pussies kick people in the legs. So Frankie hit him in the face 23 times. Munhoz hit him in the face 15 times. Second round, Frankie outlanded him in head strikes.
Yeah, the second's an easy Frankie. There's no
5th round, Frankie. So if you want to use your stats, and I look at head strikes, which are more significant than kicking someone in the leg softly. All right, let's say Frankie 125 by your nerd math. Brad, counter.
So live, I tweeted this out. Go and look at my timeline. After the 3rd round, I was like, this is a good fight. I hope Edgar continues to keep it competitive. I wasn't scoring the fight round by round, because when rounds are clear, I don't really score them. And I thought the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd were all clear rounds. The 1st and 3rd for Munhoz, the 2nd for Frankie. I feel like most people feel that way. And the judges scoring round 1 and 3 for Frankie is fucking terrible.
2 different judges.
But round 4, yeah, 2 different judges, 2 different rounds. Round 4, It was a competitive round. I don't think that it was the blowout that people think it is. Like, there were some leg kicks in there and stuff like that. But all of the damage that was done by leg kicks was done in round 3.
Yeah.
He slowed him. There was a couple in the fourth that he because he got back to it and he fucking cracked him and he was hobbling.
He landed 4 leg kicks in the 4th round.
But they were
the ones a bit and stuff like that. But it didn't do anything worse to Frankie's leg. So it's kind of like if there's a cut in the first round, you don't get credit for the cut still being there in the second and third round. Like,
but you're also in
the first round. Like,
he was doing more damage with the leg kicks.
Yeah, but I don't care about leg kicks.
I know you don't care about leg kicks. I mean, it's damage. It fucked Frankie up. That dude probably can't walk for fucking days now. That's damage.
I care about leg kicks. I care about body shots. I care about any strike that you can throw. It has an impact on the fight. But when you get to a fight that is probably 2-1, and you get a very close 4th round, which I think the 4th round was close. I know Shaun disagrees. I still think 4th round was competitive.
Some big shots in that
I personally scored it for Munhoz. I scored the 5th round for Munhoz as well. I scored the fight 4-1 for Munhoz. But if you get a competitive round in a fight that's already 2-1, it's not ridiculous to think that the judges are going to score it for the guy that's down, tie the fight up, make everything matter in the 5th round. And then the 5th was actually a competitive round, and Frankie Edgar landed the single hardest shot of the round. It stumbled Munhoz back.
The one,
it won, but the round was otherwise a close round. So I have no, I said this on my timeline. I have no problem. Like, I scored at 4-1 Munhoz. I have no problem if a judge wants to give Frankie 2, 4, and 5. I have no issues with that. It was a close enough fight that we know how shitty these judges are. If a fight is that close, you cannot trust them to get it right.
That's still a bad decision, even if they get it wrong, though.
It was so close.
It wasn't. The media was 19-4. We usually that is a pretty good indicator.
You always tell me those are you and West always tell me those are.
I never idiots. Say that when it's that lopsided. That's a fucking indicator.
I'm gonna score getting punched hitting someone in the face more than kicking in the leg. And if you look at your stats, Shaun, I just pulled it up, which I've never done before. There's apparently websites you can look at stats. You hear that thunder?
That was a good one. That was a good
wild here.
Get through your windows there.
So only 59% of the shots that Munhoz landed were to the head. 77% of Frankie's were landed on the head. Frankie was working the head.
It was 105-98. And then add in all the fucking leg kicks.
Like, who cares about leg kicks?
We know, Lance. It's your stick.
I don't care about leg kicks. I'm not saying you can't make an argument.
I hope that Edgar gets
won.
pumped up because I'll disagree with you a bit. I think his wrestling. I know Pedro Munhoz has a pretty good takedown defense. I figured Edgar going down, he would have better wrestling because he was able to wrestle at 45 and 55.
His game plan was to not wrestle.
He did, though. He fucking shot. He was trying to wrestle, and then Munhoz got up.
I don't think – yes, he shot a couple times, like towards the end of the round. I think that was more of – I don't know what's happening. Lena's looking outside. I think it was more of Frankie was just trying to score with takedowns at certain spots but not go down. He didn't shoot a lot.
His corner was telling him to take him down, though.
Yeah, and those small things. Maybe his corner wanted him to think that. I think he was faking taking down and attempting just to work his strikes. Why would you take down someone whose best chance to beat you is to grab your neck?
Because you're getting fucked up on the feet and you can't walk straight.
I don't know. I mean,
for a guy who couldn't walk straight, he had a pretty effective 4th and 5th round.
Yeah.
The 4th, he got fucked up. You got to watch that 4th again. Pedro Munhoz hit him with some. I know you won't. Neither will Lance. Even though Lance tells everybody to rewatch fights and fucking judge him again, he landed some big shit in that 4th that fucked up Frankie.
All right, so fine.
All 3 judges gave the 4th round to Munhoz like they should have.
So regardless, right? If he was so fucked up in the 3rd round, so fucked up in the 4th round, and his leg barely worked that he had to get it amputated off, then why did he win the 5th round? Why did he land the biggest shot?
I don't think he did.
You don't think?
I don't think he did.
You don't give him any fight. You bet it 50-44. You and Wes. All I'm saying is
just judge by damage. If you judge by damage, what you're supposed to, I think that's a fairly easy 48-47 or a 49-46. I know the judges are shitty, but in my opinion, that's a 49-46.
You have to judge by damage within that round as well. Like it can't
Those
be.
leg kicks were bad, man. Even like
dude, stop saying damage and leg kicks in the same sentence.
I know, Lance. We know your shtick.
Frankie punched him in the face more. He won. He beat him up.
A lot of Munhoz could have made that a far more distant fight than it was.
Yeah,
losing that fight.
He was trying to bomb on him. I think if he doesn't, I mean that's kind of his style, so it's kind of hard to change that style. But I think if he did a little bit cleaner and didn't try to wing those punches, but that's what he does. That's why he gets knockouts. Yeah, that's why he got.
That's why Edgar is able to move around the cage and land like a 4-piece combination on him.
Yeah, that fucking couldn't kill a fly if it landed on him and he punched him.
Well,
it
dropped
Edgar's style always looks good to
trash.
Judge. Always has.
Trash. Replace the judges. It's trash.
Close fight. I want to save the screaming and the robberies and the bad decisions for. We see so many bad decisions.
I didn't say robbery. I just said bad decision.
No,
Shaun, I bet you could find 50 decisions in the UFC that were worse than that one.
This year.
Not this year. Not this year. There's no fucking way.
I think so.
I guarantee you there's not 50 more fights in the UFC that I can find that the media judging is this lopsided and the wrong guy won.
Maybe.
50? Are you fucking kidding me?
I mean, maybe. Who knows?
If there's not 50, their database doesn't go back far enough.
I think West scored the Cormier fight for Cormier. Is that?
We were being homers and fucking. That was some Zoom shit that's not supposed to get leaked.
That's why it's so hard to side with you in a case like this.
I was fucking around. I was fucking around in the DC one.
You guys are the boys who cried wolf.
I am the most consistent and reasonable of all of us.
I don't know.
Yeah, and he scored it for Munhoz, so smart man. Munhoz should have won. All right, let's break down this card.
And Lance doesn't have a problem with Munhoz won. Yeah.
The funny thing here, I didn't have a problem with 49-46 Munhoz. And I also didn't have a problem with 48-47 Edgar. That's how close this fight was. All the rounds were close. All right, what was the clearest round of the fight?
The second and third, I think, are both clear.
I
one
think
for Frankie, third. One for Pedro.
Second was so clear.
I gave the second to Edgar and didn't really think about it. The third was pretty dominant by Munhoz too.
Yeah, those two.
Moving on. I agree with those two, but easy win on Frankie.
Easy
money.
win.
Yeah. I wasn't even sweating the decision, to tell you the truth.
I mean, you shouldn't when the fucking touts that are absolutely broken on the street.
After the first round, I bet Munhoz by decision at plus 350.
That's dirty pool.
All right, let's move on now to this card, which is what do we got now? UFC. It doesn't even say. Oh, here it is. UFC on ESPN plus 33.
It might be on ESPN 15, or it might be on ESPN 16. They haven't decided yet.
That's cool.
Because this one's on ESPN, I'm pretty sure. If you look on the ESPN schedule, like it's simulcast. So
What else are they showing?
Yeah. So who fuck knows? It's UFC, it's coronavirus. Nobody knows.
But really, what's the difference? God, this storm is crazy. My wife just texted me that I'm gonna have to sleep on the couch or one of the kids' rooms because they're all in my bed.
Lucky you.
I'm gonna need some more beers.
Why don't we have like we used to have UFC fight night, and then it was like versus and fuel and all that stuff. Why isn't there like a UFC COVID series? We could be on like UFC COVID 12 right now. Or whatever.
I guess that's what Fight Island was. You could have just called it UFC COVID.
They're going back to Fight Island pretty soon. I saw
for the pay-per-view.
That don't get canceled.
Yeah, we won't get so many dropouts.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's as the world is ending behind me, we'll move on to whatever card this is. We'll start in the welterweight, and not the greatest card, but there's the final two fights are pretty good. And there's some interesting ones. So whatever. Middleweight or welterweight division. Shaun, Brady, Christina Aguilera, new Shaun.
Man, that's a high price for a guy that. I mean, I guess he impressed against Nordiev, but I think Nordiev isn't as good as everybody thought he was after that win against, what was it, Tractor Caceres, where he got the big upset? Yeah.
Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah. Minus 400 plus, like, damn, I know Christina Aguilera is not that good and beat like just a warm body in his UFC debut, but fuck me, that's high. If it keeps going up, I'll probably have to sprinkle on Aguilera.
Christina Aguilera. Bradley?
Mm-hmm.
So there's certain guys that win in certain ways, and Christina Aguilera puts dudes away quick when he wins. I think 11 of his 14 wins are by knockout. Most of those are in the first round. He's not a good fighter, but if he is going to win this fight, he's going to do it violently and early on. And Shaun Brady, he lost a round to Nardiev, who's not good. He lost a round to Court McGee after beating the shit out of Court McGee for like 10 minutes. So this guy is not immune to losing rounds. And I don't think Aguilera is really a round winner so much as if he gets a moment, he could just win the fight outright. So, looking at a couple numbers, Aguilera round one is like plus 1,000. I saw TKO earlier at plus 800. So those are some pretty big numbers for a guy who, if he wins, is probably going to win in that fashion. So I might take a little stab on that, but definitely not betting the favorite here.
I'm going to keep losing money just sprinkling on these huge odds.
That'll catch up to you.
It'll add up.
It'll add up.
It's a steady downward trajectory with a little spike, and then downward little spike.
It really depends on my mood, because yes, should Shaun Brady be minus 400 versus this guy? Absolutely not. Is Christian Aguilera going to win this fight? Probably not. So I look at that as a great reason to pass. But he is. Did you say, Newson, are you betting this straight?
Oh, hell no. I would tail some Bradley special. I can get round one plus 1,400. Maybe I'll see if I can find a TKO.
Yeah, Aguilera round one is plus 1,000. Do you see that, Brad?
That's what I said, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was reading the card because I hadn't really looked much today. But yeah, picking Brady, passing Brady. Yeah. Let's move now to the exciting women's flyweight division as we have Polyana Viana taking on Emily Whitmire. Can't name a single thing about either of these warriors. Shaun.
Whit likes to get subs. She's into that strangle play and shit like that. So Viana's decent on the ground. She's got a bunch of subs on her record. I caught a plus 560 for a sub. I tossed half a unit on it. I'm probably not even gonna watch it. I'm just gonna look on SureDog to see if my bet cashed.
I just looked her up. She doesn't seem bad.
Which one? Not either one of them are pretty decent. If
they're both awful.
Oh,
fighting wise, yes.
Oh, I'm not watching. The one chick looks okay, Brad. I haven't looked at the other one yet.
It's not.
Do you know who these ladies are, Brad?
Oh.
One of them is the one that knocked out Amanda Ribas.
Really? Which one?
The Brazilian one.
Way back when? Oh yeah, back in 2015.
Yeah, see, Shaun, I know this shit.
And the other chick just got choked out in 2019 by Amanda Ribas.
The MMA math. There you go. Viana by sub, even though she knocked out Ribas.
Even though
her striking is hideous, so she's not getting another knockout here. Maybe she could get a sub. I don't know. I don't trust either of them. It's pretty close to a pick 'em for a reason. Let's move on.
The funny thing is with women's MMA at this kind of level, it could be a pick 'em, and one of these chicks is going to look like a minus 500 favorite.
And then next fight, she will be a -500 favorite and lose.
And then she'll lose. Like,
hold on, this you bet on someone that lost to JJ Aldridge, and you bet someone to watch the Hannah Cyphers.
ooh, that's the bad one. I'm cool with losing
That's
to
the
the
bad
Aldrich.
one?
The Cyphers one is bad.
Cyphers, as you can see from my new name, future champ.
That's right.
Future champ.
That Cyphers loss
up that
is
weight
bad.
IQ a little bit, you know.
Hannah Cyphers, this is her 4th fight, has made more money than almost every fighter on the roster this year. Right?
She just loses all the time and gets in there 5
fight. She's fighting later. 4 times. No win bonuses. Those are not important. But she's just banking. You know, she's getting checks, cash.
Oh, she's smart. She's only been in the octagon for like 15 minutes.
She's almost made as much as if she had a real job.
I saw her fight in person this year too. If that's how many fights she's had, because think how many times she's fought in the Fight Island or quarantine, whatever. Like this chick's getting at it. Fight number 4, tough.
We can talk about it later.
Yeah, I think she's the main event here, but I got nothing on these. I mean, this is a terrible fight. This Viana one. I mean, just terrible. Let's now move to the middleweight division as we have Alessio Di Chirico versus Zach Cummings. New Shaun?
Cummings has not looked great since going up to 85. I mean, I guess he's only had one fight actually at 85. I think he the other fights that he was supposed to fight got canceled. I just think he's kind of getting old and he's not very good. Luckily for him, the guy he's fighting is also very, very bad. I don't really know what's gonna happen in this fight. Di Chirico actually goes for some takedowns, but Cummings is a decent wrestler. And then on the feet, it's kind of a wash. I don't really have a good eye on this fight. I'll pick Zach Cummings, but I don't want any part of this.
Cummings is 2-1 since he went to middleweight. He beat Trevor Smith, and then he submitted Trevin Giles, and his only loss was to Omari Akhmedov.
Didn't he lose most of that fight against Giles, and then Giles just gave it away like he always does?
Yes.
Maybe. I don't know.
Makes sense.
What do you think we do? Tape study?
You think I watch all these fights?
What, fucking nerd? I go with my gut, and I win every year.
There you go.
That's MMA.
You gotta lay the chalk and lose, Lance. That's what the touts do.
I'm right in it.
They charge for it.
It'd be good if one of our own could win it this year. So I'm trying hard.
Oh, I've tanked. I was getting close, and then I tanked the last 2 weeks.
I was up to like 2nd or 3rd this week, and then that huge upset from the one that's sleeveless, like 2 people or 3 people passed me on that one.
Yeah, because there's like, fuck it, I'm behind.
Yeah, it was
why not pick a plus 800 and then just pick up 8 fucking points?
There's like 1 million.
Yep.
So lame. Bradley?
Zach Cummings is one of my guys, or used to be one of my guys back when I used to watch MMA before my little like break in 2019. He's only lost to good dudes for the most part until he went up to middleweight and lost to Omari Akhmedov.
A ranked middleweight.
That doesn't count. Any division that dude can be ranked in should be canceled. So, basically middleweight and then all of the women's divisions. I don't think physically he's going to be able to hang around with Di Chirico in this fight. I think there's going to be a big difference in terms of the strength that these guys bring in. But Di Chirico has lost to some bad fighters. So I'm torn here. I'm probably just going to end up passing this one entirely because I think it's just going to be a super close, clinchy, ugly, competitive fight. And I kind of think that Di Chirico is going to edge it out.
I don't agree with you. I like, I agree with some of the stuff you said.
You like the pasty one.
I like Zach Cummings here. He loses for the most part to pretty good fighters. If you look at who he's lost in the UFC, he lost to Akhmedov, which yes, he's not great, but he's not the worst. He lost to Caceres, which a lot of guys lose to Caceres. He lost to Ponzinibbio. He lost to Gunnar Nelson. He beat everyone else outside of those guys, and he hasn't beaten world beaters or anything like that. But for the most part, when you look at Cummings' career, he beats who he should. And he should beat Chirico. He's not very good. Cummings is going to be much better on the ground. Shaun, you mentioned that you think Chirico is going to go for takedowns. I don't think that's a good thing for Chirico here. I think Cummings is the much better grappler here. I think he's dangerous. He has good submissions. He gets good positions. And I just think Chirico is not very good. So I will be playing Cummings here.
Are you betting Cummings because he's got the same hairstyle and facial hair as you, Lance?
I don't recall his facial hair is as glorious as mine. I was clean shaven like a week and a half ago. It's coming back even better.
I mean, he's a little fuller up here, but yeah, he's going slick up top and the full beard and stuff like that. I think that's you seem to back guys that kind of look like you.
I'm not.
He finally committed, and like for a while he was.
Oh, it was bad.
Some serious like Hulk Hogan vibes.
The horseshoe.
Yeah, he did. I never went that route. I think the biggest difference between the two of us, I'm in much better shape.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm in much better physical. I mean, I know I have a shirt on, but you can obviously tell. Yeah, it's there. Let's now move on to the main event as we go into the women's strawweight division.
No, you missed one, Lance. Come on now.
I thought you said do it after this one. Yeah, this is that late thing. Fine. Featherweight division. Alex Bruce Leroy Caceres versus Austin Springer. New Shan?
So I originally had a bet on Caceres. I'm pretty sure he would have likely, if that fight stayed together, that was probably going to be a Munich or a consensus bet. Him at plus 200.
Munich got
him at minus 200 is almost an automatic Munich on the other side.
Especially in that matchup. That was a I don't know. That's a lost one. It's a shame.
A wild ride on Caceres bets this week.
Yeah, this is the third or fourth guy I guess he's supposed to fight. The funny thing is the guy he's fighting actually beat Giga on the Dana White Contender Series.
Yeah.
And he finished him, but Dana White was like, "Fuck you! You just fucked over Giga, who just bleeds," and so he didn't sign him. And then he got to fight a guy that's now 4-3. That's what you do after winning on the Contender Series back in season 2. I know nothing about this guy. I don't remember his Giga fight. This seems like a one where Caceres, like he's a guy that you want as a dog, and then him as a favorite is fucking dicey because his fight IQ and just the positions he gets in, and he just makes fights close. Not good. I would not be touching Caceres in this one.
What's the line? I haven't seen it.
Is it out yet? I just assume he's going to be like a minus, I don't know, 200-300.
He was minus 2 something against Kroom when there was a line for that. So probably
Kroom's
getting around the same
Springer. Kroom's way better.
Springer is better than Kroom.
No, so he might only be a small favorite. Still wouldn't touch him because this feels like a trap.
All right, in his last 6 fights, Springer got finished by Julian Erosa and Steven Seiler. So don't tell me this man's better. Imagine in a 3-fight span you got finished by Steven Seiler and Julian Erosa. That's a tough run. That's a retirement run right there. So proud of this kid. Continuing
after getting subbed on The Ultimate Fighter by Chris Grutzemacher. Springer was a decent prospect once upon a time. He had a good run early in his career, and then I think the fight against Seiler was like a Titan FC title fight or something like that. Obviously, he lost that one pretty quickly, and he's just sort of been inactive since then. So that was September of 2005, and he's got, 6 fights since then? So I'm not quite sure what happened there, but he's a pretty decent opportunist of a fighter, and if you can stick around against Alex Caceres, and everyone can because he has no power and doesn't really put people away, he's going to give you opportunities to win a fight. So, man, if you can get like plus 200 or something like that on Springer against Caceres, which is very possible in this spot, might be worth a little stab. I'm not saying I'm going all in on it or anything, but fading Alex Caceres as a favorite is a pretty good pastime of mine.
Yeah, I haven't seen the line yet, but I mean, Alex Caceres in his last fight, I forget what the line was against Chase Hooper. That was my biggest catch of the year.
It's like plus 200.
Yeah,
It
versus
ended up being.
Chase Hooper. It was a beatdown. I think Caceres is weird, man. Like sometimes he comes out and he's a world beater. Sometimes he gets his ass kicked by Guam Wang. You really just don't know with this cat. But I was gonna load up on him versus Giga, and that was going to be Munich. So literally 2 weeks in a row, Munich was ruined. But it's the only way to stop us. But I think in this fight, I actually don't think Springer is terrible. From what we saw in the Contender Series fight, like he wrestled pretty decent, and if you can just pressure Caceres and just stick to him, take him down, be safe. If you pass that, half guard on Caceres, like the round's basically over. Like that's about it. And and he has some decent knees in the clinch, but he's pretty weak in the clinch overall. And that's kind of Springer's. That's a little bit of Springer's game. So. If this fight was in bettable range, if this was under minus 200, I think I'd have to look at Caceres. But like Brad said, if this thing's at like plus, 250 plus 300 on Springer, might be worth a toss. But we'll see. Speaking of worth a toss in this next fight, women's strawweight division, Mallory Martin, who I don't know who she is taking on Hannah Cifers, who, man, not good. This is like who's that guy that took a Bob Sapp? Hannah Cifers is the female Bob Sapp. You, Shaun?
Man, she's got to be the first fighter to fight 4 times in this
right?
calendar year.
Lose 4 times in a year?
And lose. She's going to lose 4 times. I don't know how the fuck she still has a job just because she's a warm body. I guess that's what they need in this division.
People are begging me for fights. Everyone wants to fight.
Martin's fought on the Contender Series and fought in the UFC one time. Do not remember. Jandiroba choked her out. I mean, I guess that's not a bad loss. Jandiroba is pretty decent. I don't know. I don't want any part of this fight. Didn't bet the over. Not touching it. I'll act like it didn't happen.
Brad?
I actually remember the Contender Series one because she faced this like goth, tatted up Italian chick who was absolutely terrible. And that chick was the reason that I bet on another terrible women's fight on Contender Series recently and lost that bet. So, and there's a little bit of a connection there, I guess. But yeah, I really don't remember a whole lot about her. What I do know is that it seems pretty easy to take Hannah Cifers down, and this chick was on top of that Italian girl a bunch in their fight, and probably is going to be on top a bunch in this fight. And when that happens against Hannah Cifers, she usually ends up getting subbed, so she's probably going to end up getting subbed again.
That is a fair breakdown. So I am not going to act like I've ever heard of Mallory Martin. I've ever seen Mallory Martin. I don't even know if she's ever fought before. I know nothing about this. If this was a fake name, I would not be surprised. I didn't look at the fight. I didn't click into it. With that said, I will be placing a wager on her.
Shit.
I can't think of a single fighter like recently in the UFC who literally is not trying to win fights and is just trying to get a bunch of money very quickly before she is fired. Cifers literally stopped trying. Like, I feel like she went into the Angela Hill fight and she was like, I think I can win fights. I think I can do this. And then just gets knocked the fuck out by Angela Hill. I think at that point she was like, oh my God, pandemic. I could probably get some quick cash before I have to actually go fight somewhere. I put it in savings. I'll lose, but if I can fight 2-3 times, I can stack some cash. Maybe like 30, 40 grand, college, savings for my kids, whatever it is. That's what she's done. And, I can't think of anyone on the roster that wouldn't be at least a minus 300 favorite over Hannah Cifers. So I am going to play Mallory Martin. Probably in a parlay with someone later.
I would hope in a parlay you're gonna lay minus 300.
No, I
on
definitely.
that chick?
No, I haven't looked at the props here. Fight doesn't go is plus 170.
Yeah, under 2.5 is like plus 225.
Yeah, I mean, for someone that's just a huge fan of the quit.
Yeah. How
Plus
many kids
170.
does Hannah Cypress have?
I don't
To
think
have
she
that
has
level.
any. Did I tell you when I went to the fights in Raleigh, her next door neighbor sat in front of me when she got brutally beat up by Angela Hill?
Yes.
It was awkward. I was talking, it was just me and my dad at the fights, and my buddy who doesn't like watch MMA. And I'm talking to my dad about it and about the fight. I'm like, Angela Hill probably gonna beat this chick, blah blah blah. And they lean back and are like, hey, like we're neighbors for her. She's the great, and like they were super sweet. Like they were really nice. And like, yeah, we haven't really watched her fight before, but since it's in Raleigh and we only live a couple hours from here, we've known her since she was 10. And she's been, like I used to cut her hair and bam, bam, bam. Like, it was so awkward because it was this like sweet old couple who had never really watched MMA, who went to the fight, stayed around for the whole card just to watch this chick fight, and then just the dismantling. Because when they told me all this, I was thinking, well, here's the good news. She's fighting Angela Hill. Even if she loses, she's not going to get hurt. It's not going to be a finish. It's going to be, and then just the most violent Angela Hill fight. Like she got into full mount and was just elbowing her face off. So yeah, Mallory Martin here. I'll figure out how I'm playing it. I don't mind that doesn't go. Does Mallory Martin? Maybe I should look at her for the first time. Does she finish fights?
I don't think so.
She has 2 wins by knockout. Does she sub people? That's all
one
that
sub
matters.
out of 6.
Oh, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Ooh,
She
she's got a
subbed.
lot of decisions.
Oh yeah. All right. Maybe I'll just bet her straight.
There you go.
Also, Angela Hill, who I have maybe the only women's fighter I like. I think I might be the only one. Karate Hottie today posted on Instagram a picture of Dana White speaking or something, and was like, "Making me proud, boss, keeping America great," or something like that. And Angela Hill commented on her thing and said, "I can't wait to punch you in the face."
Beauty.
She's phenomenal. I've actually grown fond of a women's MMA fighter, which I honestly did not.
That's 2020, baby.
I know things are different. I became, I think, a Democrat this year almost. That's how bad 2020 has.
Let's not get that crazy. Let's just say not Trump.
I registered to vote for the first time in Tennessee.
Oh shit!
I had never, because I don't vote. I don't vote. I've always been a conservative. And I've lived in conservative states, so I've never lived in states that were coin flips or anything. So it doesn't make a difference. But yeah, it's a 2020 baby. All right, so let's move on to the middleweight divisions. We have Maki Coconut Bombs Pitolo taking on Impa Kasanganay, who fought like 2 weeks ago, and the entire fight, if you watch that commentary, was Paul Felder talking about how shitty this kid was, and he's not ready for the show as he's just beating the crap out of this guy. So Paul Felder, who I normally love, not good here. Anyway, you, Shaun. And my new name, Magny Medoff. Huh?
It's coming
Bringing
up.
him back? Yeah?
Yep.
All right.
It's coming up.
R.I.P.
Man, that Maki Pitolo really shit the bed against Darren Stewart. Maybe I'm just underestimating Stewart.
He looked good in the first round, though, until he got choked out. Yeah.
He looked okay in the first round, and then he got choked out by Darren Stewart.
Yeah, but he looked good, though, before that. I picked Stewart in that fight, so.
Yeah, that was smart. I don't know if this guy that he's facing, Kasanganay, is that what we'll just call him Impa. Impa.
It's a Kasanganay. I'm actually great at pronouncing names. I do it as a shtick. Did you know that?
That's your
2020.
bit?
Yeah. I pronounce names incorrectly to make Jay feel better about himself.
That's very,
because he tries
nice
to say the name correctly and butchers it. So, about 7 years ago, I just, whenever I decided, to do that.
Very, very nice of you, Lance. Yeah, I got nothing on this fight. I'll probably pick Impa just because I don't think Coconut Bombs is good. I know he has heavy hands, but I just don't know if that's enough in this fight.
Yeah, Brad.
This line's really creeping down, isn't it?
Where was it? I thought it's been the same the whole time.
Impa opened minus 170. Now it's $1.25.
He opened minus 170. God, I suck at timing things.
Yeah, you do.
So bad.
If you were able to get Coconut Bombs at like plus 150 or whatever, it was probably only plus 130 was as high as it was. I can see it, but man, it's hard to trust this guy. I think that he's going to have some success early in this fight because Impa also got beaten up in the first round of his Contender Series fight. But then that guy gassed and he was able to wrestle and take his back a little bit and really just sort of hold him down, control the last 2 rounds. And I could honestly see something very similar happening in this fight. I think that Coconut Bombs is going to come out hard. I'm not sure that he's going to land a bunch of strikes and then decide to shoot for a takedown in this fight like he did against Darren Stewart. That would probably be an improvement. But I think once this gets into round 2, round 3, he might be ending up on his back a little bit anyway. Because Impa is definitely the more physical of these fighters. Really, these are probably 2 guys who should be a weight class lower than they are. But whatever, don't cut weight for now and maybe put on a better performance than you otherwise would if you were cutting down to welterweight. And I just think this is going to be another one where it's competitive and maybe if you can get live betting Impa after round 1, he showed really good cardio on Contender Series, and I could see that carrying over into this fight against a guy who throws big and can struggle if he doesn't get you out of there.
Yeah, other way again, fellas. Brad, me and Brad are usually so aligned. We're all over the place in this one, just not in agreement. And you've been more aligned with New Shaun, which...
Oh, come on now.
So
I'm up this year too, even if I took a nosedive last card.
I like Coconut Bombs here. I don't think he's this world beater. I don't think he's great. I think he is a much better striker. I think there is an extremely wide gap in this fight when it comes to striking. I think, Coconut Bombs has pretty good striking. He has pretty decent power, pretty technical striking. But before he did that idiotic thing to shoot a takedown on Darren Stewart, he was easily outboxing Darren Stewart. And Darren Stewart's not this amazing fighter or boxer or striker or anything, but Darren Stewart does have some hands on him. That's why he's here, not because his great chokes. He does have good hands, and Pitolo was looking good there. And Impa's not this amazing wrestler. Like, he is not this badass Division I wrestler or anything crazy. This is a guy who has to win fights by wrestling, and he has no wrestling background. So if I look at this fight, the striking is completely one-sided. I don't even know if Impa would be able to take Pitolo down, especially in the first couple rounds when he's fresh. And I think this fight takes place in the feet, or Impa's trying to struggle for takedowns and get stuffed easily. And I think this is pretty one-sided on the feet, and he keeps it standing. And maybe he wins the first 2 and gets taken down, but Kasanganay is not going to be finishing anyone. So I like Coconut Bombs here, either by early stoppage first round or winning the first 2 rounds and possibly losing the third when he gasses a little bit. But yeah, I'll be betting him.
Did you see those abs?
They were good abs, but it's hard to trust a wrestler who isn't a wrestler. That's tough, right? It's easy to take down that dumpster that he fought last week. That guy was a trash can. And now he's fighting a guy that's pretty good. Coconut Bombs is not a bad fighter, and Impa's going to have to take him down, and he's not the best wrestler. So I'll take
Coconut Bombs might take himself down.
Yeah, Impa's not going to finish him though. So he maybe it's a Coconut Bomb triangle. I'm taking him
from the bottom.
I think this is worth it. I think the better fighter is the dog here. So I'll be betting it. Next up, light heavyweight division, Magomed Ankalaev taking on is it Ion? Shaun? Is that what Ion?
Yeah, it's cute labia. It's cute labia.
Cuțelaba. So,
Cuțelaba, yep.
Recon.
Fuck, I'm a sucker for a big number. It was a weird fight, the first one. Obviously, Ankalaev was getting the better of Cuțelaba. I got plus 375 on Cuțelaba inside the distance for half a unit. Ankalaev's not, I don't think, is going to take him down, so it's going to be on the feet, and Cuțelaba throws wild shit on the feet. It's probably a dumb play. The smart play is probably take the boring Russian. But I don't know. He doesn't have that good of takedowns, and I think Cuțelaba's got decent takedown defense, so it's gonna get wild on the feet. I think Ankalaev has probably decent enough striking defense that he'll be able to bore us to death and probably win a decision. But I had to take a shot.
Interesting breakdown.
Yep, good. I bet him last time. I bet Cuțelaba last time, so I gotta fucking bet him again.
I just think it's amusing. You think he has to take him down to win the fight. I just said, Brad.
That's fair. He's probably gonna beat him on the feet too. Yeah.
It was like you were breaking down the last fight, but it was this fight.
I think the thing that might come into Cuțelaba's favor in this fight is the fact that this is going to be in that tiny cage. I think that's probably the only thing that he's got going in his favor in this fight, because he is going to come out there and he's going to throw wild shit. And he's not the better striker here. He's not the better wrestler here. He's not really better at anything here, but he just throws them bungalows, as the kids say. And if he lands something, which he's got a better chance of doing in this fight than if Ankalaev has all that time to move or all that room to move, I could see it happening. But really, I think that Ankalaev probably just pieces him up on the feet, and we're looking at late stoppage or a pretty clear decision for Ankalaev. I think that because of the way the last fight went and the fact that Ankalaev's been fighting some real garbage men, aside from the Bear Jew, of course, where
we lost to, who we got dominated by.
Yeah,
the Bear Jew finished, dominated, and stopped him. Just throw it there.
I mean,
dominant stoppage.
Yeah, he did what he had to do to win. Exactly, inside the distance, which is what you want to see from a fighter like the Bear Jew.
Finishes fights. He's a finisher.
I think that he's being a little bit overrated in terms of his stopping ability. So I could see this going a little bit longer, and you're getting like an over 1.5 at even money here. And Cuțelaba he can take a pounding. Might get stretched out a little bit, but he can take some shots, and I think that's what we're going to see here, a kind of prolonged beating. I might look at that over 1.5.
Can I interest you in an Ankalaev round 3 for plus 1050, Brad?
Maybe. What's round 2?
Yeah, it's cheap. It's fucking like plus 425.
Ooh, of course. Maybe. I can see that. I also kind of think that if it gets into round 3, it's probably just going to go to decision in this case. But
he seems like a Just Coast guy.
We saw that. We saw it against the Bear Jew.
Yeah, yep. Exactly.
What you got, Lance?
I disagree with Shaun. I disagree. So I disagree with your breakdown. I don't necessarily completely disagree with you taking a shot on what Cuțelaba, as you put it, because he does have power. The fight is more than likely going to take place on the feet. And he does just kind of bite down his mouthpiece and charge forward and throw reckless shit that could possibly land. And he has big power. So I don't necessarily disagree with you taking a stab on the big dog. I disagree with thinking that Ankalaev has to take him down. I don't see that. I don't see Ankalaev needing nor wanting to take this fight down. Maybe unless he gets hit, he has that option to get him down. But yeah, I do like Ankalaev here. I think he's the better striker. I think he's the more composed striker. I think he's the more technical striker. But Cuțelaba could catch him.
I'll counter that just a tiny bit with: do you think he needed to take down Lung Ambulance or Klitz and Abreu in his last 2 fights? Because he took them down, and I don't think he needed to there either.
Also,
Maybe.
he took down the Bear Jew. And that's
no, he didn't. No, the Bear Jew took him down twice,
Yeah.
and then he reversed, and then he got choked out.
Whatever.
Man, could you imagine just being in Bear Jew's guard, just knowing what's going to happen?
I listened to him on the Luke Thomas show. I think you guys hate him, but
He's got me blocked
he's
for some
funny. He's a funny interview. Bear Jew, and
he's awesome.
He kind of made me want to root for him more. Like, I know you guys
he's
have your
a wood
thing,
shop. He's a wood shop teacher, I think I read.
How could you want to root for him more than you already do?
I kind of root against him because you guys are so for him, and because he's cost me a lot of money.
Yeah, but don't you love to root against guys that Wes thinks are terrible, but yet always win? Like, Bear Jew, Derek Lewis. Doesn't it make you feel good?
Poor Wes. Poor Wes.
So good. So good. All right, let's move on here now to the featherweight division as we have Ricardo Lamas taking on Bill Algeo. You, Shaun?
So I actually wanted to fade Lamas against everybody's favorite Ryan Hall fucking butt scooter.
You would bet on Ryan Hall. That's worse than betting. That's worse than laying minus 1,400 on that little gangster chick.
I mean, I won a decent amount of money, and I think you lost a decent amount of money when he fucked up Darren Elkins.
Yes. And Gray Maynard, that was a bad decision. Ryan Hall didn't throw a single punch for 15 minutes.
Easy W for Ryan Hall.
Cut that guy.
Ugliest fights I've ever seen.
Horrible.
Anytime Maynard threw a punch, he flopped to his back and somehow won a decision.
Yeah, that was honestly a bad decision.
No, it wasn't.
Terrible decision.
So that's
you can't reward. I don't even care what happened in the fight. You can't reward that. If you reward that, like, what message are you sending the kids, Shaun? What message are you sending?
It's a piss poor message.
Think of the kids.
Yeah,
I never do. So yeah, I wanted to fade him there. I think he's getting to that stage in the lower weight classes. I mean, the guys he's losing to are pretty fucking good. But I don't know who this Bill Algeo is. He was
on Contender.
He did lose to the hyped up guy.
All the
who Dana didn't give a
Bill Looney, or what's his name? Brendan
Loughnane or whatever. And then everybody lost their minds, and now I think he's fighting in Bellator or something.
Congrats.
Bellator?
Yeah.
Is he one of the PFL guys?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, it's PFL, not Bellator. My bad. Ricardo Lamas at minus 290, 300. This guy is terrible. I just don't want my money on him. He's 38 years old. This late notice shit, dumb shit can happen. This guy, I mean, this seems like it's a good matchup for Lamas. I don't think this guy has that great of striking or power, so Lamas should probably win a fairly easy decision, but I don't want any part of it.
Bradley?
Yeah, I wish I could just come out and say that Lamas is going to make Algie crumple, but yeah,
nice,
right? But whenever he loses, he seems to lose by decision. So I think he's probably going to lose by decision to Ricardo Lamas. From what I've seen of him, Ricardo Lamas can outstrike him. Ricardo Lamas can out-wrestle him. And if it gets to the ground, Ricardo Lamas is a pretty damn good grappler, so he can probably out-grapple him as well. So
he subbed the GOAT.
Yeah, that's right. I think Ricardo Lamas is going to win this fight, and man, the line isn't as low as I'd like it, but I still might trick myself into playing him here because, like, you're talking about a perennial top 10, top 5 sort of featherweight fighting a dude who recently lost on Contender Series. Like, there's a big gap here, and I don't have any indication that Ricardo Lamas is completely shot at this point. So I'm probably going to end up throwing him in a parlay here.
Plus 180 decision by Lamas?
Maybe. He could knock him out.
Yeah.
Or sub him.
he's been a pretty dangerous guy throughout his career, so I'm probably just going to parlay him straight.
Fair.
Yeah. So there's different factors you look at. Is the guy washed, right? Like, do I think Lamos's chin is completely gone because he's been knocked out a couple times? No, he got knocked out by Emmett and Qatar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those guys
can crack. Does his offensive output look drastically different? I don't think so. I still think it's Ricardo Lamas. Maybe he's a little bit slower, but I think his chin is still there. I don't think that's gone. And he's still moving forward. He still seems like to have a speed. And I think this is just a one-sided matchup. And I don't know. I like Ricardo there. I think it's good he took a year off, recovered. We saw Frankie Edgar at 39, 38. He looked fine. And I think, when you see it, and same thing with Frankie, and Frankie didn't take obviously a drastic step down like Ricardo Lamas is doing here. But, when Frankie's not fighting 145-pound killers and top 5 guys and he dropped down to 135, he fared a little bit better. And I think the same thing with Ricardo here. He's taking a huge step down. This is the worst guy he's fought in what? When do you think he's fought someone as bad as this guy? Jason Knight, I guess?
No, Jason Knight's better than this guy. Bendy Casimir.
Yeah,
there we go.
I don't.
Do you know what happened when he fought Bendy Casimir? He threw a massive knee, and Bendy Casimir's mouth guard went into like the 17th row. It is one of the greatest mouth guard flying knockouts in the history of MMA. I
like him. So yeah, I got most of my. I haven't bet anything yet, as you guys know. I do that a little bit later, but I will be maybe Lamas and Martin. I don't know. That seems like that's going to be a winner there. So let's move on now to the women's flyweight division. As we have Alexa Grasso, who's hot. Yeah, I get it. Versus Yeon Kim. You, Shaun?
I had to sprinkle on this fight. This seems way too wide.
You gotta stop this, dude. You keep betting all these terrible plus 250 fighters that don't have much of a chance. Bet on plus 200 fighters that are good.
I don't think Grasso's that good. I mean, everybody was pumped on her after her Koala Bear win, but we all know that Koala Bear is, I'm sure her heart is barely beating. She is donezo. The Kim throws decent volume. She's got a 6-inch reach advantage. I think this takes place on the feet. This has close decision written all over it. I think it is just a bit off. That is a big number. I put half a unit on Kim at plus 270. I put a half unit on her by decision at plus 385. I think this is just a little bit closer than what it says.
Brad?
I know that one of these chicks has fought good fighters. Yes, she's lost when she's taken big steps up in competition. Grasso's lost to Esparza and Tatiana Suarez. And way back when she first came into the UFC, she lost to Felice Herrig, which wasn't a terrible loss at the time. The other one has lost to the shitty Shevchenko and Cuțelaba.
The Cuțelaba!
She has lost to terrible fighters, and the people that she's beat are
by split decision mostly.
And she did not I don't know why I remember this fight, but she did not beat Justine Kish. She didn't win that fight. I don't even know what the fucking Nadia Kassem is. But you've got one person here that's been fighting consistently good competition and has been in pretty competitive fights, and one who's been fighting consistently terrible competition and has also been in pretty competitive fights. They want to get Grasso a win here, and she's probably going to get a win.
Yeah, I'm with Brad. Exactly. Everything he just said. This is a decent fighter who's not top echelon versus a terrible fighter, and Grasso is marketable. She's a Mexican fighter. She's good looking. They want to get her a win. This is a win. She mostly loses to really strong wrestlers who can take her down and who can grind her out. That is not this. I can't think of where she's been massively outstruck in any of her fights. She has pretty decent hands. I think she wins this rather easily. You're laying juice on Munhoz versus Edgar and other fights that we'll talk about, and then you're going with the dog in
sprinkles.
This
These fucking half unit plays. Who gives a fuck, Lance? Come on now. I mean, like I said, it's gonna happen on the feet. I mean, if she gets 30-27, then it is what it is. There's no way she's finishing, so it's going to decision. And maybe I'll just pray that the judges who judged that fucking Munhoz fight watches this one.
So Kim's gonna outstrike her handily.
No, Grasso's gonna outstrike her.
All right, moving to the welterweight division, we got brutal Robbie Lawler taking on Neil Magny Medoff. R.I.P. Dick Tattoo, Shaun Carey. New Shaun?
Oh, this is a tough one. I think I got suckered into a big number against a veteran guy, against a guy that throws volume. This could look very, very boring, and Lawler will just not look like he gives a fuck. I think that's kind of what we saw against Colby Covington. That's a tough matchup, though. Covington's going for takedowns. I think that just shut Robbie down for some reason because he definitely just would not pull the trigger. I just hope that doesn't happen here. Magny likes to kind of grind on the fence, and if Lawler's cool with just sitting on the fence getting grinded on, then I guess I'll just have to eat this one. I after kind of double thinking about this fight, I kind of donked off a little bit of what I was going to bet on Lawler with Magny by decision, just because I don't want what happened against Dodson to happen again. Magny by decision is like -120. I think that's a pretty decent play if you're looking to bet Magny. I took Lawler, ended up 2.5 units at +194. I still think he can throw bombs. Magny can get hit. He still has that tall guy defense. I don't think he looked great against Tony Martin. I actually thought he lost that fight, and I bet him in that fight.
Clearly won the fight, but clearly
say that again.
Magny clearly won that fight.
I don't know if that's true or not.
Clearly won the fight.
There was a lot of people that gave that fight to Tony Martin.
I think you're thinking of a different fight.
I don't know about that. I'm double checking that, but I'm pretty sure it was unanimous, but wasn't there more than half the people had it for Tony Martin on fucking MMA decisions. I remember that being kind of
we just told you earlier you can't trust them, Shaun.
I remember that fight. I remember on Twitter a lot of people had Tony Martin winning that fight. I'm pretty sure I kind of gave it to him, even though I bet Magny. We were in the chat
and people were talking about how ridiculous they were.
That Martin
scoring.
Yeah. The last half of that fight was Magny just beating the shit out of him.
Right. Martin had it early, and Magny didn't look good, and then Martin gassed, and fucking Magny took over.
Brad, best not look bad against Brutal Bob the first half of the fight.
Yeah, because that's going to end poorly. And that's what I'm fucking banking on, so we'll see what happens.
Speaking of what you just said, I'm playing Brutal Bob straight in this fight. +210 against the worst guy that he's fought in forever is a ridiculous number in this one. I don't get it. And Neil Magny has never been. Has he ever been this big of a favorite in his career? Neil Magny is the guy that
he fought a bunch of bad guys during that big run.
He closed against Craig White. He was -775.
I don't know who that is.
Against Johnny Hendricks, he was -250. He closed.
Hendricks won that fight. Bad decision.
Yep. So not in a long time.
That was a bad decision.
You're getting the same price on Robbie Lawler as you were against a washed version of Johnny Hendricks, who beat Neil Magny in that fight. I could totally see Magny just holding him up against the cage and winning an absolutely terrible decision. And just boring us all for tears. I don't hate Magny. I've made a lot of money on him over the years. He's been a pretty good source of income. But man, this is another case where small cage, you got a tall guy defense. Robbie Lawler still hits like a fucking truck. Neil Magny still likes to get hit. We just saw him lose the first half of a fight to Tony Martin. And now he's more than a 2-1 favorite against Robbie Lawler. Like, yeah, he's probably going to hop around and throw a bunch of little leg kicks from the outside and do that sort of stuff. But honestly, it's not only will it only take one shot for Lawler to win this fight, he could land 1 or 2 shots and win a round with how much more significant his shots are than Neil Magny's. So I could see him definitely landing something big early to win this fight. I could also see this just turning into a striking match where Magny does not have enough room to just bounce around and keep distance, and they just get into exchanges. It might take Lawler a couple minutes to get into that range, but he's not going to gas out completely like Tony Martin did. I think this is going to be sort of a phone booth type of striking battle, and I give Robbie Lawler a huge edge in that. I think Neil Magny is going to have to resort to clinching him and holding him up against the cage. And honestly, I don't like. I could see it happening. There's a reason that he's favored in this fight. Robbie Lawler is older, but if he doesn't want to get held up against the cage by Neil Magny, it's not going to happen. And if that doesn't happen, he wins this fight.
Yeah, and Magny doesn't have the wrestling to just double leg Lawler and scare him into being, hesitant on the feet.
Yeah, he's not going to get taken down 10 times like he did against Colby Covington.
Yep.
I agree with everything you guys said. I think when you look at Robbie Lawler, like for the most part, he's had decent takedown defense. Like, if you look at the Johnny Hendricks fights, for example, like how hard it was for Johnny Hendricks to take him down. And I think later in his career, you almost have to throw out getting taken down by, Colby Covington and Ben Askren late in his career and in that kind of wrestling ability. But when I look at the washed up test, right, that we just talked about, is his chin gone? No. That's always the first one, right? Is chin gone? No. Is his offensive output gone? I don't think so. You might say that after the Covington fight, but Covington overwhelmed him so quickly. And you can't compare a Colby Covington to, yes, Colby Covington doesn't have big power, but he doesn't throw shots like Magny. Colby Covington just lands and pushes in that pace. I think he just put it on him so quickly that Robbie didn't know what to do. And I don't see that in this fight. I think Magny's not going to be able to take him down. I think it's going to be, try to push him against the cage a little bit. But, I think Robbie's going to separate and throw. I think Robbie knows where he's at in his career right now. He knows he's just going to throw bombs, and he's always done that, but even more so, I think, in this fight. And he's facing a guy that doesn't give him much on the feet. He's not going to be scared of his power. Robbie's going to be able to be very aggressive, and Magny's not the best wrestler. And, he's faced guys recently in Lawler where have really good wrestling at, Colby Covington, Ben Askren, Rafael Dos Anjos, like, those guys are very strong wrestlers. And now he's facing a guy that he gets him taken, but he doesn't have great wrestling. So I think Robbie's going to be able to bite down his mouthpiece here and just throw a lot of shots. So I'm also on Brutal Bob here. And this is the Munich bet.
Yeah.
So, we washed out on the last couple, but Brutal Bob here. This is right in our wheelhouse. Older fighter, big number. So this is the Munich play of the week, and we will both be on Brutal Bobby Lawler. Moving up now to the main event as we go to the light heavyweight division, as we have Anthony Smith taking on Alexander Rakic. Shaun.
So I've never been a fan of Anthony Smith. I know he has some big wins. It seems like to me if he's fighting the better guys in that division, the way he usually wins is being there, not getting too fucked up, and then the guy you're fighting gasses and he snatches some wins. Good on him. I mean that he's a very durable guy, as we saw in the Glover fight. He was still getting just murdered in the 5th round. As for skills, like he looked decent in the first round against Glover, but as we know, Glover takes a little while to get the
Can't count that fight.
The engine going.
Fight didn't happen. Unfair.
He got fucked up in that Glover fight, and that was in May. So this isn't that long ago. I know it took a lot to finally get him out of there. So I'm not too sure if Rakic actually gets him out of there. The small cage, I definitely think, helps Rakic. I think the 3 rounds helps Rakic because I don't think he's going to gas. He actually has pretty good volume in the 3rd round. So I don't know how good Rakic is. I thought he won that decision against Özdemir. I think it was pretty close. He's got very good striking. I don't think this is going to hit the ground too much, and I give a fairly big edge on the feet. He's a lot more youthful. Anthony Smith has 48 fights. He's only 32. That is a lot of fights in a short amount of time. And he has taken a lot of punishment, especially recently. I just had to take a small play on Rakic. I got minus 240. I laid it for a unit. I think this is going to be a good fight for Rakic. He's got a lot of stuff going for him in this matchup.
Brad,
I don't disagree with what Shaun says. I definitely think that the 3 rounds favors Rakic in this fight. It would be interesting to see if it was 5, but apparently it was Smith who said.
Yeah, that's the weird thing.
So obviously he probably took some time off after that Glover fight and maybe just wasn't able to get his cardio quite back to where it usually is, which is, I don't want to say good, but he's more effective at doing things when he's tired than most guys are, especially most guys at 205. And I think he's going to have to rely on that in this fight as well. I've been kind of going back and forth because, like you said, you're not a fan of Anthony Smith. I've never really been a fan of Smith either. I've never thought he's a particularly good fighter. His run to the title shot was one of the most shocking things that I've seen in MMA for a guy who used to be like Strikeforce journeyman back in the day and just losing to guys left, right, and center back on the regional scene. So it's very surprising to see him actually turn into a competent fighter. But Rakic, and he's not that good either. Like, there's a guy earlier on the card who I think in Ankalaev, who I think is a much better light heavyweight prospect than Rakic. And that guy is getting an easier fight than Rakic is getting. And the line is almost the same. So I think Rakic is a little bit more limited. He's getting a tougher fight. It's his first really sort of big spot in the UFC. I could see Smith keeping this competitive and maybe taking over a little bit late. And, I know that Lance loves my losing bets on props and stuff. But I think he would even have to agree that Anthony Smith round 3 at plus 2,500 is a tempting one.
That is not bad. That is not bad at all.
Right? So
that might be my pick in the fight is Smith round 3 finish.
That's how he gets it done. So I haven't fully committed to betting Smith just because I still don't think he's that good. But I did sprinkle on that plus 2,500 because that's just an absurd number.
Yeah, I'm more with Brad than Shaun on this one. Mr. Lay the big chalk on really tough competitive fights and main events.
Broken. The garage weight champion broke this motherfucker, literally and figuratively.
Anthony Smith has gotten beat up so many times. It's nothing to him. He gets beat up a lot. He always gets beat up.
Beat up in his own home.
He did. He got beat up by a random intruder. I like Anthony Smith here. I don't think Rakic is very good. I think this is a massive step down from Anthony Smith in who he's been fighting the last few years. If you look at all the top competition he's fighting. And every time we think he's going to lose and he fights a new guy, he wins. He wins that fight. And I think this is another case of that. I think on the feet, I think he might be a little bit overmatched, but I think he's going to make this one dirty like he does. I think he's going to push him against the cage. I think he's going to land some knees. I think he drags this one to the ground, and I think he just absolutely brutalizes him on the ground. I think we're going to see some ground and pound. I think we're going to see some big elbows. So I think here we either see a ground and pound finish, just too many elbows, too many punches, or I think Rakic kind of gives up his back on purpose and gets choked to death. So I like Anthony Smith here. I definitely am playing him. I'm thinking about kind of splitting it up where the inside the distance is plus 450. Yeah, the round 3 maybe. The inside the distance is plus 450 here, which Anthony Smith has finished like 95% of his fights, most of them being 3-round fights. So I'm kind of surprised that he's plus 450 when it's plus 230 on the money line. So I might split that up, might put a unit on the money line and then a unit on the inside the distance, because I think Anthony Smith inside distance plus 450 versus a guy like this is strange. So do like Anthony Smith a good bit here. So that'll do it for this week's show. Fun show this week. A lot of fights to talk about. Okay card. There's a few good fights this Saturday, but better than nothing. So any final words from you fellas?
Jeremy is putting down his foot and says he wants to come on the next episode and finally continue the saga of the best bro hugs Atlanta story.
That's
He's
what he
been
always
talking
says.
about it forever. Next week's card's pretty trash. I mean, it's kind of been that way the last 3 weeks, so it wouldn't be a bad time to get him on and make us laugh.
Black Lives Matter. Bro hugs matter.
Bro hugs do matter. So that'll do it for this week. Thank you for listening. We always really appreciate it. We'll be back next week to recap this, possibly Jeremy, look at next week's card. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.
Mom of the year.